Like when he came over, he would always shake their hands and be super mature, so my parents just figured that he was a good kid for their son to be around. But what they didn't know is how he acted when adults weren't around, because the moment we would leave, he would turn crazy. Like when Jaden's pet fish passed away, instead of burying it or flushing it down the toilet like a normal person, he filled the fish bowl with Coke and Mentos, which made the deceased fish shoot up into the air. It literally flew like 15 feet and then splattered onto the ground. I didn't know whether to be terrified or amazed by what I just saw, but this was like normal for him. He would do things like this all the time. But the moment that adults came around, he turned on that parents' riz.
This is your warning to never compliment a pregnant lady. Because I was at the doctor's office the other day, but right as I arrived in the waiting room, all of the seats were taken except for this one next to this lady who looked really pregnant. So I asked her if anyone was sitting in it, and she said no, so I sat down. But this led to her making small talk with me, and she complimented my outfit, so I wanted to give her a compliment back. And since she was very pregnant looking, I said, "Thanks. You make pregnancy look easy with how much energy you've got." But right when I said that, her face dropped, and she went, "I'm not pregnant." So I immediately turned red and I'm like, yeah, of course you're not. I don't know what I was thinking. But as I'm rambling, trying to apologize, she goes, "I'm just kidding." I love telling people I'm not pregnant when they bring it up just to see their reaction. That's not cool. I'm pretty sure she almost made me go into labor.
You can always tell when someone is a middle child because they do not get treated like everyone else. Because one time, I was at an amusement park with 5 other people, and one of them was a middle child. So during this whole day, we were going on different rides, but it was super crowded there. So about 3 hours into being there, we realized we lost our middle child friend. So I was like, "Wait, guys, has anyone seen Cole?" But no one had, so we figured he just went to the bathroom or something without telling us. So we called him to tell him where we were at, and he finally met back up with us. But we asked him what happened, and he told us he got separated from us right when we entered the park. So we were like, "You got separated from us 3 hours ago and didn't try to call to find us?" And he was like, "Nah, I'm used to people losing track of me. It happens all the time at home, so I just wandered off and went on some roller coasters by myself." I felt horrible for that, but honestly, I respect middle children a lot. They're way less needy than us younger siblings.
Why do best friends never take pictures together? Because I was talking to this girl the other day and I was telling her about my friend because I thought they would like each other. But then she said, "Oh, well, do you have any pictures of him you can show me?" So I started looking through my camera roll because I've known him for a while, so I was super confident I had a picture of us together. But after scrolling for about 5 minutes, I only found one picture. And the only reason I had this one was because it's the picture that the Postmates driver takes of you when they deliver your food. I had it saved because the Postmates driver used flash to take the picture, so we looked terrified and I thought it was super funny. So I had no other option but to show this picture to the girl, and she was like, "Is that the best pic you got?" Then I was like, "Girl, that's the only pic I got." Keep in mind, we've been friends since 1st grade, yet the only picture I had of us together was one that the Postmates driver took. I just got banned from my favorite restaurant for life because my friend thought one of the girls that worked there was super pretty. And we eat here all the time, so eventually he got her number, and soon after that, they started dating. But this was really dumb of my friend to do because after a while, he lost feelings and broke up with her. So they were not on good terms, but she still worked at the restaurant and we still wanted to eat there. But we knew we could never go when she was on the clock because she hates us now and it would be super awkward. But the first time we tried going after they broke up, it ended horribly because she told all her coworkers about how my friend broke her heart. So they just gave us the worst service ever on purpose. Like I ordered a burger and I'm pretty sure that thing was still mooing because they did not cook it at all. They also didn't come around to give us refills once. I don't know why I got dragged into this though. I didn't do anything to her. I just wanted my half-pound burger with American cheese and grilled onions. But instead, I gotta keep eating this dang yogurt. A person I went to school with passed away like a year ago, and I was going through a list of the people that I follow, and their name came up, so I'm trying to decide if I should unfollow them or not. I feel like it's messed up to do, but we weren't close or anything, we were just acquaintances. And I know this may sound crazy, but I have a feeling that if I unfollow them, their ghost will haunt me. I know it probably won't happen, but I don't want to take the chance. Like, they're never gonna post again, so do I need to follow them? Also, their account is private, so if I unfollow them, I will never be able to follow them again. What do I do? Gender reveals are going way too far. Because tell me why I just saw one where the couple was in a jacuzzi. So I was thinking the color of their bathing suit would change to blue or pink when they got out or something like that. But no, instead, they count down going 3, 2, 1. And then there's just an awkward silence for a second where no one moves until you slowly start to see the water in the jacuzzi turn pink. They were finding out the gender of their baby by peeing in a jacuzzi. And they were doing it in front of their whole family. There's no way one of them thought of that idea, pitched it to their partner, and they were like, "Wow, that's a great idea." I'm convinced someone forced them to do this. But somehow, that's not even as bad as another gender reveal I heard about on the news because they used colored fireworks and it started a forest fire. There goes that kid's college fund. Like, why can't y'all just stick to slicing open a cake or something? Someone put my number on Craigslist saying that I'm selling wheelchairs. So now every day I'm getting calls from old people asking to buy these wheelchairs. So old people are horrible with technology and they don't understand that there's no wheelchairs. So they keep calling me back every day. I don't know if these people just have dementia and they forget that they already called me 20 20 times, or if they're just horrible at using the internet. But either way, they won't stop. So if you see someone selling wheelchairs on Craigslist, it's fake. Don't call the number.
Nobody talks about how scary it is to see your teacher in public. Because I was at a restaurant with my family one time, but as the waitress was seating us, I see my teacher eating with her family. So I tried looking in the opposite direction because I didn't want her seeing me, but then we arrive at our table, which happened to be the one right next to them. So we sit down and I've just got my head turned like this, which makes my parents be like, Tyler, what are you doing? And I was like, oh, you know, I just got a sore neck. But then they're like, you look ridiculous, sit up straight. So I do, and despite trying my hardest to avoid eye contact, the teacher sees me. So she waves and goes, oh, hi, Tyler. Is this mom and dad? But I didn't want her talking to my parents because I knew she was gonna tell them how bad I behave in class. So I'm just like, yeah, and then she goes, this one's a big troublemaker, huh? And my parents look at me confused because they had no idea about my behavior in class. So to stop her from saying any more, I was just like, enjoy your dinner, Miss Garendo.
This is your warning to never text a girl past midnight. Because I used to like this girl, so I would stay up late texting her every night, and I really enjoyed it. But this turned out to be a huge mistake because one night, we're texting at like 12:15 a.m. and I'm super tired because I went on a hike that day, so I'm struggling to keep my eyes open. But we're having a really good conversation, so I don't want to just end it and respond the next day because that would have ruined the flow of it. So I'm fighting super hard to stay awake until eventually, my body forces me to fall asleep. So the next morning, I wake up and check my phone to see that this girl texted me saying, wow, that's so rude of you to say. But I don't remember what I said last night, so I'm like, what is she talking about? So I click on our conversation to see what made her say that, and then I started to remember what happened. Because before I fell asleep, my friend was also texting me asking when I wanted to go snowboarding. So I responded to him saying, I don't care. Or at least I thought I did. Turns out, I actually sent the girl that text because I was so tired. But this was really bad because you know what she said before I sent that text? She said, my grandma's had heart disease for a while. So basically, I said, I don't care about that. Well, isn't that great timing? How do people break up, then say they hate their ex? Because I know so many people who are like, my ex is the worst person on earth. My ex is so ugly. You literally chose to date them. A couple of months ago, you said you loved them. Do you know how much you have to like someone to date them? And now all of a sudden they're ugly? Like, why can't a relationship just end and both people say, oh, we just weren't a good match? Your ex doesn't always have to be the worst person on earth. Personally, I don't think it's a good look when you talk that negative about your ex. Sometimes it just doesn't work out. Why does everything cause cancer these days? Like, someone told me that I needed to start wearing sunscreen or else I would get skin cancer, so I did. But then when I started using the sunscreen, I saw a video talking about how that exact sunscreen causes cancer too. What am I supposed to even do at this point? I'm scared to breathe because I think someone's gonna say that causes cancer. I'm just gonna stay inside my house for the rest of my life. Why does school make you so ugly? Like, every morning I wake up and get ready for about 30 minutes trying to look my absolute best for all the ladies. And when I leave the house, I feel like I look like Brad Pitt. But the moment I walk through those school gates, I turn into Quasimodo. And you might be like, oh, Tyler, it's all in your head. But no, I've literally taken pictures before to prove it. I took a pic of myself right before leaving for school, and then I took a pic when I arrived in class. And when you compare them, I looked more different than Michael Jackson when he switched colors. But how I know for sure that I'm not crazy is this doesn't just happen to me. Like, there are girls I went to school with, and whenever they would post on social media, I almost wouldn't recognize them because of how different they looked online compared to in person. But the most frustrating part about all this is right when school ends and I go back home, I look fine again. Who's doing this to us? Why are people in scary movies so dumb? Because I was just watching a scary movie that made me so frustrated with the characters that by the end, I was hoping the killer would get them. Like, tell me why I'm watching this movie where these girls are given a videotape and they're told that if they watch it, they will pass away. But what do? Immediately watch the tape. Like, I have no sympathy for you. People in horror movies just need to mind their own business. Don't watch these haunted tapes, don't go inside any freaky tunnels, and don't buy a house where the past 40 people who lived in it mysteriously passed away. Have you ever noticed that every person who doesn't make it in a horror movie was snooping around somewhere they shouldn't have been? Like, this is how I would be if I was in a horror movie. What's that? Oh, you think we should go into that creepy house over there even though you literally just saw a ghost turn the last person who entered into a pretzel? Yeah, I'm not gonna do that. I hate Christmas for one reason, which is the fact that I don't know how to react to receiving gifts. Like, someone could literally give me a Lamborghini as a present and this would be my reaction. Oh, nice. And that's not even an exaggeration because one year on Christmas, I really wanted a specific bike. I told my parents how bad I wanted it for months, but it was really expensive. So they were like, sorry, Tyler, but don't expect to get the bike for Christmas. So when Christmas Day came, I ran into the living room to see if there were any big boxes that could have this bike in it. But there weren't any, so I was super sad until we all finished opening presents and my mom said, wait guys, there's one more gift for Tyler. Then she went into the garage and came back with the exact bike I asked for. I was so happy on the inside, but because I'm so bad at reacting to gifts, my parents thought I didn't even like it. So next time I get a gift, this is how I'm gonna be.
A screwdriver? No way, Mom and Dad, you guys are the best.
This is your warning to never work at a fast food restaurant. Because when I was 15, I got my very first job at a Taco Bell, but I quit after a week because I didn't realize how bad it would be. Like, I had this coworker who was at least 50 years old, and he would always work the same exact shift as me, but he was going through a divorce at the time. So every day, he would just tell me about his family problems. He was talking about how his wife was gonna leave him and take the kids with her because he couldn't afford to pay the bills, and I was like, well, yeah, you work at Taco Bell. But he would talk to me like I was his therapist. Like, dog, I'm 15, I've never been in a relationship. How do you think I could possibly help you with this? Just put the tacos in the bag. He's working there to keep a roof over his family's head. Meanwhile, I'm just clocking in so I can afford the new Fortnite Battle Pass. Like, I did not sign up for this. And don't get me wrong, I felt bad for him. So I still tried giving him advice. It definitely wasn't good advice because they still got divorced, but I tried. Does anyone else have a friend who eats non-stop but never gains weight? Like, I know a guy who will eat in literally any scenario, yet he's still super skinny. And I'm not even exaggerating, because his sister had a baby recently, and he sent me a bunch of pictures of him holding it for the first time in the delivery room. And he said they were taken like 20 minutes after the baby was born. But what I found odd about the pictures was that in a lot of them, his mouth looked full. So I was like, dude, did you get stung by a bee or something while you were in there? And he was like, no, I was eating Burger King. So I was like, hold up, let me get this straight. You were eating Burger King in the delivery room 20 minutes after your sister had a baby. And he goes, yeah, I was hungry. You're always hungry. That doesn't mean you eat a Whopper 14 seconds after your baby nephew was born. But the craziest part is that he does stuff like this all the time, yet he never gains weight. Meanwhile, I sniffed a cinnamon roll the other day and gained 13 pounds. Must be nice.
Have you ever gotten close with someone you never thought you'd talk to? Because back in school, I had two separate friends that hated each other. Because when I would hang out with one of them, the other one would get upset that I wasn't hanging out with them. So one day, I had the idea for us to all eat lunch together. Because they never even actually talked. The only reason they didn't like each other was because of me. So we all ate lunch together that day, and I think both of them started to realize that they had a lot more in common than they thought, and the only reason they disliked each other was for a dumb reason. So over time, we started to hang out as a group. And I was super happy about it at first, but unfortunately, they grew way closer than I ever expected because eventually, they started hanging out without me. It was basically like introducing your girlfriend to your homie, and then she cheats on you with him. I hope y'all are happy together, man.
This is a warning if you're thinking about texting your crush first, because I used to like this girl, but I would never text her because I thought to myself, if she likes me back, she'll initiate the conversation. But she never did, so we literally never talked. And I saw her for the first time in years yesterday, and I asked her, why did you never hit me up? And she said, I was waiting for you to make the first move. So we literally never talked because we were both waiting for the other person to make the first move. And I was thinking to myself like, damn, I wonder what could have happened between us if I hit her up first. But now she's engaged, so I think that's off the table. But this should be your sign. If you like someone, text them first. They'll probably be happy you did, or they'll block you. At least you'll get an answer.
Nobody talks about how scary it is to play music with your parents in the car. Because I never realized how dirty most of the songs I like are until I listened to them around my mom and dad. Like one time, I was in the car with them and I needed to charge my phone, so I plugged it into the aux, which made my music start playing. Then I was like, oh, let me choose a good song so my parents think I have a good music taste. So I put on the song With Them by Young Thug. But if you've ever heard this song before, you know that the moment it starts playing, it gets really inappropriate. So my mom was like, oh my gosh, Tyler, this is so vulgar. And my dad was like, heck yeah, this is awesome. But I was so embarrassed. I quickly changed it to gospel music just to try to make them forget about what happened. Like I literally had no idea how dirty that song was until I listened to it with my parents in the car. I guess I just never actually pay attention to lyrics, but I learned my lesson. Never again.
Situationships need to be abolished. Because every time I hear someone talk about their situationship, it just sounds like a bad rom-com. Like, what do you mean you guys have been in the talking stage for 2 years? Let's be real. If you are not dating by then, you're never gonna be. But then they'll be like, no, we're soulmates. We've already planned our future together. Yet at the same time, they will purposely avoid making eye contact with them when they pass each other at school. But it gets worse because one day they'll be crying, so you have to ask them why they're crying, and then they'll say it's because their situationship is talking to other people. So then you say, well, are you guys dating? And they say no, so then you say, yeah, that's what happens when someone's single. They talk to other people. But then they say, she's not single though. What? Situationships are more confusing than my math class, and I'm almost failing. I genuinely get a headache trying to understand them. You know what a situationship really is? Delusion. Because has anyone ever had a situationship that actually worked out in the long term? No. So that means you should break up with your situationship.